Hello, am I audible?
Hello, audible.
Okay, so welcome to today's DC class.
Thank you, sir.
Is the slides visible? Okay, I believe. Okay, so we'll be moving to the last section of this module. We'll be finishing this module by today. So we'll talk about coherent orthogonal modulation schemes and differential phase shift keying. Coming back to yesterday's class, yesterday we have discussed about the probability of detection error for QPSK, and I have given the steps and I asked you to derive it on your own. Also, the signal expressions, the generalized signal expressions, we have discussed that, and I asked you to write down on your own and get satisfied yourself. I think you have done that. Then we talked. Then we discussed about the signal space representation, and then unlike BPSK, here we have two quantities. One is bit error probability, and the other thing is symbol error probability. Here one symbol corresponds to two symbols, and the bit error probability is same as BPSK, is half error function root of EB by N0, and the symbol error probability is error function of root EB by N0. And how we get that is, as we discussed that in the last class, it's a basic it needs a basic understanding of probability. So probability of symbol error is 1 minus probability of correct decision of both the channels. It has an in-phase channel and a quadrature channel, and I asked you to refresh your probability understanding and derive the symbol error probability as given in the slide. How many of you have done that? How many of you have tried deriving the QPSK probability of error? Symbol probability of error? I believe some of you would have tried that. Okay. So all the steps are given in the slides. You can go through that and find out and do it on your own. Now we'll come to the non-coherent or non-coherent modulation schemes. Yeah, non-coherent orthogonal. So non-coherent modulation means at the receiver we don't need a synchronous carrier. In case of BPSK and QPSK, which are coherent modulation demodulation schemes, we needed a carrier, local carrier generated at the receiver, which is exactly same as the same in frequency and phase as the carrier used in the transmitter. and that makes these kind of orthogonal demodulation receivers complex and expensive. So here we talk about non-coherent modulation. So by the very nature of this is basically a simpler architecture than the coherent modulation. The disadvantage is the simple error probability or the bit error probability will be higher than the coherent modulation BPSK or QPSK. But that is a penalty we have to pay for the simpler RX architecture. So here, this is the generalized non-coherent modulation receiver. So what we will do is that the received signal, instead of passing it through two correlators required synchronous carrier, we pass it through one filter matched to phi1 of t and another filter matched to phi2 of t. And then output of that goes through an envelope detector. So you have two envelope detectors, and then that is sampled at the end of each time bit time TB, and then the decision is made based on which of the output is higher. For example, if the top path output is higher, we say that output transmitted symbol is 1, and if the bottom output, that is L2, is higher than L1, then we say that 0 was transmitted. So this is relatively simpler. As an example of this filter matched to phi1 of t, you can consider this as a FM receiver tuned to a particular frequency f1 of t in case of an FSK. So this one is a FM receiver, our normal FM receiver tuned to f1, and this is an FM receiver tuned to f2. And there is the received carrier. Suppose the received carrier is coming in f1, output of the top path will be higher than the bottom path, and vice versa. I hope that is clear. Right? Okay. So this is the generalization. So it does not require a synchronous carrier. So simpler architecture, but the penalty is probability of bit error is higher than BPSK. Okay. Let's have some maths. Again, consider the transmitted symbols S1 and S2, which are orthogonal. The symbols are orthogonal. And by orthogonality means projection of S1 onto S2 on is 0. That is what is mentioned here. Integral projection means integral 0 to t S1 of t Si of t into Sj of t dt equal to 0 for I not equal to j and equal to E, and E is the symbol energy for I equal to j. Now let's consider symbol 1 is transmitted, that is S1 is transmitted, and the received signal will be S1 of t plus some theta. We don't know the phase of that, plus, and we don't want to know because it's a non-coherent, and W of t 0 to t. Similarly, if S2 symbol 0 was sent, that means S2 of t, received signal is S2 of t plus W of t. W of t is additive white Gaussian noise. It's a random process. Theta is the unknown phase shift, and W of t is the additive white Gaussian noise. And it's, as usual, it's our spectral density is N0 by 2. Following. Hello? Okay. Now this is regarding the receiver. Okay, receiver, what will we do? Just simply explain what I have just explained in this slide. The receiver operation is explained here. You can just read through and let me know if you didn't understand. It is straightforward. I hope that this is clear. Now let's have some quick understanding of the difference between coherent versus non-coherent. So the top one is a non-coherent receiver of an FSK, and the bottom one is a coherent receiver of an FSK. So here this is the received signal. FSK means it will be cos 2 pi FCT, cos 2 pi F1 T or cos 2 pi F2T, either of those. And this one is the non-coherent thing. This is the filter matched to F1 of T, and this is the filter matched to or tuned to F2 of T. So if the input signal is cos 2 pi F1T, output of this filter will be higher and the output of the envelope detector will be higher. So we say that symbol 1 is transmitted. Otherwise, we say that symbol 0 is transmitted. Okay, sample at T equal to TB. Each bit time, end of bit time, we'll sample that and decide based on the output of the envelope detector. So this is simpler architecture. Now let's consider the coherent architecture. Here you have two carriers. You need two carriers synchronized with the transmitter, and then low pass filter, and then same sampling, and then the comparison and decision. But here the main disadvantage is that you need to have two separate carriers that is exactly synchronized with the transmitter, and that makes that defeats the very purpose of FSK, because FSK is meant to be a simpler receiver than the PSK. So this is just a comparison. And again, this is the same slide. Okay. So with this, we are finishing the non-coherent. Only this much is enough. That is given in the, that's what is given in the syllabus. The other things like the bandwidth and bit error probability of this derivation of those things are not included in the syllabus, so we'll be skipping that. Okay, so now we'll move to DPSK or differential phase shift keying. So into that, if any one of you are having any doubts on the non-coherent, you can ask now. or you can ask later also. Okay, let's go to DPSK, or differential phase shift keying. So this is basically a non-coherent version of the PSK. What was the main issue with PSK? Carrier synchronization at the receiver makes the PSK system very complex. So we wanted to have a relatively simpler version of the PSK. That is what is DPSK. So here we don't regenerate, or we don't generate any carrier at the receiver. Okay, so the basic idea here is that, so let's consider a normal PSK, BPSK transmitter. So we'll be either sending cos 2 pi FCT or sin 2 pi FCT, depending on whether the input data is 1 or 0. Right? Cos 2 pi, not sin 2 pi FCT, cos 2 pi FCT or minus cos 2 pi FCT. That is 180-degree phase difference. If data 1 is to be transmitted, we will send cos 2 pi FCT, and if data 0 is to be transmitted, we will send minus cos 2 pi FCT. So this information is already available at the receiver. So if we can utilize that information some way, we can avoid the requirement of a synchronous carrier at the receiver. For example, for each bit time period, if you save the, somehow you save the carrier information or the carrier waveform or the received waveform, not the carrier, the received waveform, and then use that for the demodulation for the next bit. Then we can avoid the requirement of a synchronous carrier. This is what is essentially done in DPSK. For this, we need to do a differential encoding of the input binary wave and then apply that to a normal PSK modulator. We'll see how it is done. But the basic concept is that. And at the receiver, just read out what is written in the blue color. A phase difference between the present and previous carrier modulated data of 0. That means if the present waveform received and the previous waveform received are same, exactly same, or phase difference is 0, then we say that data 0 was sent. And if the phase difference is 180-degree, we say that data 1 was sent. So we are comparing the current waveform and the previous waveform. Current waveform means waveform for the period 0 to TB. And previous waveform means just 1 TB before that, before the time 0. Are you following? Are you getting? Okay. So just read through the. So this differential operation is done using a modulo 2 adder. Modulo 2 adder is nothing but an XOR gate. So if you see, we will generate a sequence called QK, and this is our input data bit. QK is delayed and XORed with the new data. So you can write that QK equal to QK minus 1 plus, sorry, XOR IK. What you can write is Q of QK minus 1, QK equal to QK minus 1 XOR IK. This is the basic equation running this. And Qk is the output of the differential encoder. The output of the differential encoder is given to a polar line encoder. For example, output of this Qk is 1. Output of a polar line encoder will be +1. And if Qk is equal to 0, output of polar line encoder will be -1. Similar to our BPSK modulator. And that directly goes to PSK modulator, that is multiply with carrier cos omega ct. Just go through this and digest yourself. Okay. Should I give some more time? Clear? Okay. So I'll give you an example. So here, this is the bit stream that needs to be transmitted 0011 01 00010. And the transmitted waveform will be, you see here for 0 and 0. So basically what you need to see here is to send a symbol 1, the phase of the current signal is changed by 180 degree. For example, you can see to transmit a bit 1, this phase of this is the previous data sent or the waveform sent. Now to transmit a bit 1, this is phase shifted by 180 degree and transmitted. Again you need a 1, and if you want to send a 1 again, then again phase shifted by 180 degree. So this again became like this, but this data is 1, not 0. And if a 0 is to be transmitted, just continue the previous waveform. So you can see here 0 is to be transmitted and we are just continuing the previous waveform. And see again, you need to transmit a 1, then this waveform is phase shifted by 180 degree. You got here. This is how it is done. So the one basic thing here is that this is differential, so we need some reference. So what we do is that at the start of the transmitter, we will send an arbitrary first bit. Say, let's assume that the arbitrary first bit is 0 as the start bit, and that is our reference. And 0 means a particular carrier we will send, and that is considered as our reference. And then everything else is based on derived based on that reference signal. A detailed table is given in next slides. I'll go through that. And how will we, is it understood? I'll give you a few minutes to understand this, what I have just mentioned. Don't by heart this waveform, just understand like this. If a 1 is to be transmitted, the carrier has to be phase shifted by 180 degree. That's all. If 0, no carrier phase shift. And okay, is it clear? Okay. So how will we demodulate this? Suppose you want to get this 1. You want to receive demode, you want to get back this data, say fourth data. So what you will do is, you will take this carrier, this is what you receive, multiply that with just the previous carrier. So this is minus sine theta. So instead of cos, we have in this waveform, it is sine. Just for representation, I have just copied it from some online source. So here it is minus sine and here it is sine. Or you can consider it as cos also. Let's assume that this is cos and this is minus cos. So to detect or get back this data, what you will do is that multiply this waveform, that is cos 2 pi f ct with, or minus cos 2 pi f ct with cos 2 pi f ct. So it is minus cos square 2 pi f ct. That can be converted to, what is cos square 2 pi f ct? Okay, let's stop there. So if you want to receive this one, let's consider this example. You want to receive this one, so you multiply this with this. So cos 2 pi f ct multiplied with minus cos 2 pi f ct, that is minus cos square 2 pi f ct. Let's keep that. Now, suppose you want to receive 0. Okay, so you'll multiply this with the previous one. This is what? Minus cos 2 pi f ct multiplied with same, right? Minus cos 2 pi f ct. So it is plus cos square 2 pi f ct. So you're seeing the difference, right? When we want to detect a 0, you are getting a positive value, and when you want to detect a 1, when the actual bit that we need to detect is a 1, then the output of that multiplier in the receiver is a negative quantity. So without a local synchronous carrier, we have achieved our purpose. So this is the DPSK concept. Please let me know if you have not understood. Okay, I think it is understood. Now, just before going to the maths and other waveforms, let's see where all these are used. So these are generally used in wireless applications like RFID, WLAN, and Bluetooth. Because otherwise, what you have to do is you have to have some complex PLLs at the receiver and generate the local carrier. So instead of that, if you use DPSK, the receiver will become simpler and cost effective. So these kind of wireless systems, we use DPSK. You can use DPSK. Here we are talking about only 2 phase shifts, either 0 or 180 degree. You can have like QPSK, you can have multi DPSK also, MRE DPSK also, like 0 phase shift, 90 degree phase shift, 180 degree, and 270 degree. There also DPSK is possible, but it is MRE DPSK. You can call it like that. Okay. Now, how the receiver? I talked about the receiver exactly. That is depicted here. Input signal is coming, a cos omega ct, that is the transmitted signal. Obviously, there will be some WFT, that is the additive white Gaussian noise. That and a delayed version of the delayed version means the previous version, previous carrier in the previous bit time is multiplied. That's what we just discussed. And then that is passed through a low pass filter. So let's assume the current one is cos omega ct and the previous one was again cos omega ct. Okay, so it will be output of this multiplier will be cos square omega ct. Cos square theta is 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2, right? So when you pass that high frequency, cos 2 theta means it's a high frequency signal, and when that is passed through a low pass filter, it will get eliminated. So your output will be a positive quantity. And if the input was a cos omega ct and the previous data was corresponding to minus cos 2 pi f ct, y of t will be minus cos square 2 pi f ct, and again output of the low pass filter will be a negative voltage. That is what is written here. This is copy pasted from a textbook. You just read through it and understand. It is straightforward. And we'll not go through the derivation of the probability of error. That is not mentioned in the syllabus. But the value is half e raised to minus EB by N0. It does not have an error function. It is just an e raised to half e raised to EB by minus EB by N0. Is the probability of bit error. Although that in the BPSK, half error function of root of EB by N0. Now we'll show you, we'll go through the comparison of the error probability of DPSK and BPSK. So initially we said that BPSK has the highest performance in terms of probability of error. That means the lowest probability of error for a given EB by N0. Here the error performance will be poorer than the BPSK, and the intuitive reason for that is in the BPSK we are correlating the received signal with a clean carrier wave. Here we are correlating the input. This is the correlator. We are correlating the input with a previous carrier. So that carrier is already having some additive white Gaussian noise. That is noisy carrier, not a clean carrier. So we are correlating the input signal. That input signal also has some noise, and we are correlating that with the previous waveform that we have received that also has noise. So you have noise in both the inputs to the correlator in the DPSK. But in case of a BPSK, noise is only in the input signal, not in the carrier signal. So obviously the error performance of DPSK receiver will be poorer than the BPSK because noise in both the inputs of the correlator. That is the intuitive explanation. Clear? Should I explain it? Is this clear? Because this is a very important concept. Why the error performance of DPSK is poorer than BPSK? I believe this intuitive concept is understood. Okay. Now let's go to the, so this clearly shows, or in other words, this is an example of the bit stream and different waveforms or values at different points in the transmitter and receiver. IK, this is important, you need to understand this. IK is the input bit stream 1 0 1 0 0 0. This is the IK, the input bit stream, and QK is the, what is QK? QK is this one. output of the differential encoder, that is qk minus 1 XOR with ik, right? So as I said, we need a reference signal for the time or time index of 0. We consider this as a reference signal, and at that time we will send a carrier carrier signal minus cos 2 pi f ct. And we don't have a useful data, we don't have a data there, but we assume that, or we initialize the qk output of the encoder as 0. So next q output of the encoder is previous q XORed with, this is an XOR, not plus, XOR. Previous q XORed with ik, that is this value. Similarly, this one is 1 XORed with 0, that is 1. 1 XORed with 1, that is 0. 0 XORed with 0, 0. 1 XORed with 1, 0. So what is the property of an XOR? If the inputs are same, output will be 0, right? That is what is clearly visible from here. Just digest this, because this is very important, this table. Okay, I think it is understood. Now the line code. This qk goes to a line coder. For a 1, qk is binary 1, you will send a plus 1 volt. And if it is 0, you will send a minus 1 volt, for example. So positive and negative. Positive value for 1 and negative value, voltage value for 0. So this theta k represents the phase difference with respect to the original Tx carrier. At the transmitter, the carrier used is cos 2 pi fct. So this theta k represents the phase difference from the carrier. So here it is pi, that is 180 degree, because it's minus cos 2 pi fct is sent. And here, corresponding to a line code 1, you will send a cos 2 pi fct. So the phase difference from cos 2 pi fct is 0. Here again, cos 2 pi fct phase difference is 0. Sorry, phase the theta k with respect to the actual carrier. Now phase difference is the second part. Phase difference from between the current symbol and the previous symbol. So this is the phase difference of the current symbol with respect to the original carrier, that is theta k, and this is the phase difference between the actual current received waveform and the previous received waveform, right? So current received waveform has a phase difference of has a phase of 0, and the previous one has a phase of pi. So effectively it is minus pi is same as pi. Similarly, this minus this equal to this. This minus this equal to this, pi. Clear? I'll give you 2 minutes to go through this and understand this. Okay. So at the bottom, what I have written here is the actual waveform transmitted during that period. For time, for this bit time, cos 2 pi fct is sent. This bit time cos 2 pi fct that corresponds to the line code. Line code is 1 1, so cos 2 pi fct. It is minus 1, so minus cos 2 pi fct. Minus 1 minus 1 minus cos 2 pi fct in both, and then 1 cos 2 pi fct, and so on. So this is the actually transmitted waveforms. Now to receive what will we do? Just as explained in previous slide, multiply. Suppose you want to receive, find out what is actually detect at this point. So multiply this cos 2 pi fct with the reference minus cos 2 pi fct. So minus cos square 2 pi fct. So the output of the low pass filter will be a negative value. That corresponds to transmitted symbol 1. Now to detect this symbol, multiply this with the previous. So cos 2 pi fct plus cos 2 pi into cos 2 pi fct. So cos square 2 pi fct plus cos square 2 pi fct, positive cos square 2 pi fct. So passing that through a low pass filter will give you a positive voltage. That corresponds to that give you that the transmitted symbol was 0. Like that you can find out for each case. So we cleverly avoided the requirement of a synchronous carrier at the cost of reduced bit error probability compared to BPSK. Clear? How many of you are looking at the recorded video in the GEC Wayanad YouTube channel? You're able to watch that properly? Okay. So that's about it. Now the PSD, power spectral density and bandwidth of BPSK. So power spectral density, again, we are multiplying with the carrier, so it will be a spectrum of the baseband signal for the coded polar NRC signal at FC, and the bandwidth is FC plus FB minus FC minus FB by 2, that is FB. This is in contrast with the BPSK. In BPSK, the bandwidth is 2FB. And the reason behind that is, we are not going to the derivation. Reason behind that is, we are actually sending the differential signal, or we are coding the differential signal or the XORed signal, not the actual signal. That is the reason why we have lesser bandwidth in the case of BPSK. Okay. Now, advantages and disadvantages. Okay, before going to that, I will talk about that error probability graph. So this is the typical error probability. At the x-axis is EB by N0 in dB, and y-axis is bit error probability, bit error rate. So you can see that, let's leave the top two plots. Let's consider this PSK and DPSK. So the bit error probability of PSK is better or less than the bit error probability of DPSK for the same EB by N0. So if something like this is asked in exam, you can just draw qualitatively this one, this plot, and they explain the intuitive reason for that. So advantages: it does not need synchronous carrier, system is simple, and bandwidth requirement is 0. And the reason is differential encoding. And disadvantages is, main thing is probability of error is higher than BPSK. The reason is mentioned here. Carrier used as input to the multiplier is the previously received carrier with AWGN present in it. That is, carrier is not clean. Other disadvantage is error propagation, because this depends on the differential encoding. So if there is any error in the received signal at a particular time period, the following bits are affected. Successive bits are affected, right? So in other words, we say that there is an error propagation problem. And noise interference is high, again, the same as the bullet number 1. Higher noise will result in, because higher noise means the same AWGN noise is coming in both the current symbol waveform and the previous waveform used as a carrier. So higher noise effect and poorer probability of error. Poorer means higher probability of error. I'll give you 2 minutes to go through this. Okay, with this, I'm winding up today's class. If you have any question, you can ask me offline or now.
Sir, attendance നോക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ?
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, attendance ഇതിൽ മാർക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. പോലെ